Hello, 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 and welcome to Steelcast 2.5. And you may be asking yourself, why 2.5? Well, it's because here's the deal, guys, and I've been trying to figure out how to get a couple of videos out there because, part of the thing that I've always loved about doing the YouTube videos is the interaction with you guys. I love answering questions, and it's kind of been, between my my mania and doing YouTube videos. I do a video, I put it out, and then you guys would put all these great questions in the comments. I'm like, okay, we cannot wait. We must answer this now. And you have no idea how difficult it is to shut my mouth long enough to wait for the next video to come out to answer it. So I'm just not going to fight it. There have been a couple of great questions that have come up, and not only just from you guys. I have got several phone calls from other crafters that are far more experienced and far better than I am. Jerry Leaders is one of those. If you don't know Jerry called me the other day. If you've ever been to the Georgia Renaissance Fair, South Carolina, and several around the country, Jerry Leaders has been a glassblower on the Renaissance Fair circuit like before I started back in my 20s. And Jerry has made a very fine living as a demonstrator and a glass artist on the Ren Fair circuit, which is his own business. And Jerry called the other day and was telling me how delighted he was that I was putting stuff out there again, which, again, you got to remember, guys, I'm just a loser in the middle of nowhere. When I get a phone call from somebody, they say, hey, one, good job, two, glad to see you back on it. You have no idea what that does for me, right? But Jerry calls, and, I've got all these videos done, and Jerry says, hey, one thing that was great video. He says, but one of the other things that we deal with is there's no such thing as free material. And I'm like, holy crap, what a great topic. So now the problem is, because I've been my anxiety has been through the roof, I've been trying to focus on something. So I've got like 8 episodes of Steelcast in the can, right? And I made the mistake of actually saying the date when I did the Steelcast, because the idea was, of course, to send these out on Mondays. But I'm dying over here. There are so many great topics and there's so many good comments. I'm like, I must answer these now while I've got the energy and the focus. And that's kind of where we're at on this end of it. And thus, I'm trying to cram in some of these great points by actually, doing the halves, the Steelcast 2.5. So again, this is, number 2 is like 2 out of 10. So, we've got videos, or at least a Steelcast set up, for all the way, I believe, on way into September. But there's so much to talk about. So anyway, for you guys that are wondering why my dates are so screwed up or if I've gone into a time warp, it's because I originally started this with the idea I was just going to set these and forget it. They'd be scheduled on Monday. But I'm clicking the comments and the notification button too much. I'm getting that hit of dopamine, and it's kind of nice to be excited about interacting with everybody again. So I am sure I will burn out in a couple of weeks, but while we're here, I'm going to answer some questions because that's what I love doing. And I'm going to make some points, because I've had all these other craftsmen call me, and they're making great topics to talk about. Because the thing is, we don't realize that we're now the veterans of the industry, and things that we have earned in blood, we don't ever think to tell you guys, especially if you're a beginner, especially in business, because who the hell wants to hear from us, right? So, but anyway, I digress. Fact is I'm going to try to put a lot of new videos out. I may have to screw with the order just a little bit, so you guys be patient. I think there's going to be 2 more videos that will come out. They're going to have weird dates on them because they were planned for 3 and 4 weeks into the future before I was smart enough to shut up and not mention a date. So, but thank you to Mr. Jerry Leaders for giving me a phone call and bringing up this great point that so many beginners fall into. It's a trap. It's a trap. and it is the myth of free material. So we've really been hitting hard toward business because, guys, if I give you advice on how to make an S-hook, I can help you make a better S-hook. But if I want you to be able to survive as a blacksmith, and at the end of the day, the craft doesn't survive if we don't make money, right? There's some of those pitfalls, and one of those pitfalls is free material. This is a killer. So if you're like any of us, you always start saying, well, hey, I heard that, that a metal file makes a great blade, or leaf spring makes a fantastic, hog knife. Yeah. So you go to, your buddy, and your buddy says, oh man, I got a couple of rusty files you can have for free. And you're like, all right, hot damn, free metal. So you go home and you make a knife out of this, and you make a couple of them, and they look good, and your buddy says, "Oh man, I want to buy that." And then then you see all the trig formulas and things going through your brain when you're trying to figure out how much to charge him, and that's where the problem comes in. Because if you stole the wood for the handle from your neighbor's outhouse, and then you have the free metal for the file, well, you shouldn't charge them for that, right? Absolutely wrong. That you cannot be any more wrong. If you follow that model, you are guaranteed to shoot yourself in both of the feet and probably in the genitals, because that's bad. That is very bad. If you say I got it for free and it didn't cost me anything, you should immediately punch yourself in the face. When you are in business, there's this thing about what we call replacement value. And if you were to have this knife and you had to go replace the materials for it, how much would that cost? And this is kind of something you need to familiarize yourself with. Now, you can save yourself a lot of money and you can get some extra profit margin, but if you're going to make knife X, okay, you got knife X here, you're going to make this knife. And normally the materials for that knife are going to cost you $30. And we'll just start there. This is an arbitrary number. All the materials are going to cost you $30. If you manage to find some old steel you had laying around and some old handle material that you didn't know you had forgotten about, you may be inclined to say, well, now I can charge $30 less for my knife. No. You are a very bad monkey. Do not think that way. You have to charge the price for the knife as if you had to purchase that material. Flat out and period. And here's why. Because for most of us, we do one-offs. It's and I'll talk more about the Mario concept of business versus the artist, which is another great topic I got to cram a video in about. But if somebody buys this knife and you sell it to them at the reduced price, and somebody comes along and says, oh man, hey, I need 3 more of those just like that. Well, now you've got a problem, don't you? Because you can't get any more free material. You sold this knife to the guy for, $30, plus your margin less than what you should. And he's coming back and he's saying, okay, I need 3 more. And you're like, Well, now you have to tell him, well, I've got to charge you significantly more for this knife. And he's going to go, why? You sold the first one to me at the right price. And you're like, well, I had free material then. Here's the deal. That's not his fault. That's not his problem. Your bad business decision, he absolutely benefited from, but that's on you. When you get free material or you have access to stuff, you charge replacement value, not what you got it for, okay? If you are in any kind of business, if you go out and let's say you buy a Kia poop hauler. I don't know if that's a real model of Kias, but I feel like it is. So you find a used Kia poop hauler for $4,000. Holy crap, that is absolutely fantastic. But you get it for $2,000, okay? When you wreck it, are you going to tell the insurance company that you paid $2,000 for it, because you've got to replace it? Or are you going to make sure that the insurance company gives you the $4,000 for the Kia poop hauler? It's the same concept. It is what they call replacement value. And that's why a lot of the times custom cars are not insurable because, if you take a car that you've meticulously restored from 1950, you've got, a lot of money sunk into it. Now, whereas the blue book value on that car may be $1,000, you've probably got 30,000 into it. So when you go to your insurance company, you're saying that, hey, if I wreck this, I want you to replace it for me. There's no way they're going to insure that for the actual value of it, no matter, how cheap you got it for or how much money you put in there. It is the replacement value. So that is very important when you get into business. Now, I'm not telling you, not go look for free material, because that's actually how you get ahead. That's actually how you get ahead in making your profit margin. At the end of the day, and just as a general rule, a business needs to make 30%. And again, these are just, figuring numbers. Profit. That means that after the labor's paid for, the materials are paid for, there's a 30% margin that goes into the pocket of the business. Now, if you are smart about your procurement and about your cost, you can then use that extra money to stretch that profit margin, which is a great thing. But under no circumstances that when you get a deal that you just absolutely pass that deal on to the customer. That's not how it works. If you got buddies, I stress, if you've got friends and family on that end and you want to give somebody a break, that's perfectly okay, right? But if you are getting out there and really moving product, if you've got a sales tent, that is a good way to make sure that you no longer have a sales tent. So there is no such thing as free material. For example, you guys have probably seen a lot of the axes we've been making out of the railroad track, which are really nice axes, available on TrentonTie.com along with other fine goods. But this railroad track, we've got from our scrapyard. And now, here's the deal. If I go over there and I see my buddy at the scrapyard who does me very, very well, too well, and he gives me a good deal on it, that's fantastic. But if let's say I use up that piece of railroad track and I have somebody else come along and said, hey man, boy, I really like those axes. I need one of those axes, and there's no more railroad track in the scrapyard. Well, then what has to happen is I have to go to a place that deals in high carbon steel like Ryerson. And I say, hey, I need some high carbon steel that's 1 inch by 4 inch. And first thing that Ryerson's going to tell me, well, this is only available in a 20-foot stick, which is a standard size. And looks like it's going to be about $70 a foot. And even with my shop and my business, you know how you have the cowboys that hop up on the saddle and they grab the saddle with their glove, and you hear that kind of ripping sound that their leather glove makes on the top of the saddle. That's the sound my butthole's going to make. Because that one piece of steel, and I can't get a chunk of it, I can't get a piece of it, I'm going to have to buy the whole thing. So now, in order to give that guy what he wants, at the price that he wants, I'm about to have to spend $1,600 to make a $400 axe, and then just hope that somebody else wants a lot more axes because I've got the material, right? So that is why you always charge the replacement value of your particular stock. That is just the way it works. And again, and I want to point this out, and I'll wrap this up here pretty quick. I want to explain to you guys that this is not just in blacksmithing. These business principles that I'm telling you work for no matter what type of craftsman you are. And this is one of the things that I just want to kind of beat into you guys, especially, and I know for most of you listening right now are going to be dudes. You're probably going to be a hobbyist, and you're going to be into knife making or blacksmithing. But I hope that there's a couple of you there that are artists, because at the end of the day, I span two very different worlds. I am absolutely one of the nutbag artists on that end of it. However, my entire education, my entire upbringing has been in that reenactor craftsman deal. And if there's anybody that needs more education about business, it's my art crowd. So I have a soft spot in my heart for you. These business principles extend to you if you're a painter. It doesn't matter if you're a glass blower. That's why Jerry Leaders, an incredibly successful glass blower, can call and say, hey, here's this business principle that has, been with me. I don't blow glass. I never blew glass. Even though I went to Georgia Southwestern, who had a glass studio, I didn't like glass, right? But the business is the same. So whether you are doing underwater basket weaving, whether you are, have a shop that braids hippie underarm hair, it doesn't matter. The business principles are absolutely all the same. So, business is business is business, and it is absolutely first and foremost before your craft. I had the opportunity to interview a young lady last night to come help with some of our video editing on that thing, and I had to explain to her, I have to kind of rewire how they think. I was like, look, you've seen the shop here. You know that we do blacksmithing, we do leather work, we do, metal casting. I was like, what do we do here in this shop? And she, absolutely had a confused look on her face. And she said, well, blacksmithing? I said, well, that's part of it. I was like, but that's really a tier down. What is the purpose of our shop? And the purpose of our shop is to make money, because blacksmithing by itself does not move me forward. Leatherworking, metal casting, TV appearances do not by themselves move us forward. It is business. Our job on a day-to-day basis is to make money. Now, thankfully, we've done it well enough with blacksmithing and leatherworking and TV appearances that I don't need to be out in the front yard in a chicken suit spinning a sign for money. But if it came to that, buddy, bok, because, the bills don't care. If you're going to be successful as an artist or a crafter, you've got to be about the business, because we all want to avoid the damn chicken suit. Guys, that's going to wrap it up for today. Again, I cannot tell you how much I appreciate all your comments and the support that have been coming back in. Thank you. It means the absolute world, and we're going to have some more stuff coming out shortly. So thank you guys again. You guys be safe out there, and I will talk to you later.